UCLA and USC are coming to the Big Ten, going to be here in a year. How will they do in the Big Ten? And how will the Big Ten react to the Los Angeles schools? Let's talk a little expansion, shall we?
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and we are available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, Big Ten expansion is closer than you think. We're inside a year of getting two new schools in the Big Ten from Los Angeles. It's on the horizon. We'll have an analysis of the teams, how they are, how strong they are, and how ready they are to join the Big Ten and take a look at their schedules. Not only this year, but jump ahead to the 2024 schedule because I definitely have some thoughts about that and how everything is shaking out. And we'll have our Big Ten power rankings. Today, we'll take a look at Big Ten quarterbacks 1 through 10. We'll just put it on out there. Be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way, you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Well, let's start off with UCLA, and then we'll get into USC quickly. UCLA, Chip Kelly, it's hard to believe he's been there for 6 years already. It was a rough start when he started, but he has gradually grown this program after his style, and they are pretty good. Went 9-4 last year. Their offense was pretty good last year as well, 4th in the country and top in the Pac-12 in rushing. And their quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, was just the perfect system quarterback for Chip Kelly. Now, he's gone, though. That's a problem. However, Dante Moore, I think he's going to get the first chance to step up, and he might even be able to step it up a notch for UCLA this year and play even better. That's what they're hoping for anyway. The top 3 pass catchers are gone, including running back Zach Charbonnet. That's not good for them. But the offensive line adds a lot of transfers at UCLA, and they're going to have to gel. You know, it's not easy just to plug players into. And by the way, for those just listening on the audio podcast, on the visual here on YouTube, got a picture of the Rose Bowl. Just a beautiful, beautiful stadium. Picture perfect for TV. But anyway, we always have a few pictures on the YouTube video. Nevertheless, let's get into it a little bit here. So they have a center coming back, Duke Clemens. That's good, but you just can't plug and chug offensive linemen. It takes some time to gel and work together as a unit and teamwork. And that might be a difficult job this year. The team's pretty deep at running back. And on defense, they gave up more than 30 points in 5 of their last 7 games last year. That wasn't good. Linebacker Darius Masao played 3 years at Hawaii, 1 for UCLA, 361 tackles for his career, 12.5 sacks, 29.5 tackles for loss. He actually comes back. He's got another year of eligibility, so that's good for them. Also, they've got kind of a hybrid player, a Washington transfer, Latu. He missed 2 seasons with a neck injury, but finally came back and got 10.5 sacks. So that's good for them in depth. Gabriel Murphy, 13.5 sacks at North Texas before coming to UCLA last year. Jay Toya is 325-pound nose tackle. So they have some pieces that they can work with defensively. Jordan Anderson is a Bowling Green transfer with 5 career interceptions and 20 pass breakups. He'll play at safety. And they're pretty solid at corner with Devin Kirkwood and Jalen Davis. So a few changes, but a few players coming back that will help out UCLA. Not in bad shape, frankly. Now, let's take a look at Southern Cal, because this team has some big boy aspirations this year. Lincoln Riley and this team last year, 11-3. Lincoln Riley's amazing to me. After what he did at Oklahoma and then comes over to Southern Cal, he's not even 40 years old yet. He will be right at the beginning of the season. He's already got 4 Big 12 titles and 3 college football playoff appearances. Just a great football coach and a great recruiter. and a great offensive mind. And of course, he's got Caleb Williams with him, who is Mr. Everything. This guy, 4,500 yards passing last year, 42 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and ran for 10 touchdowns. He is probably going to win the Heisman. He is probably going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. In fact, look, every year when it's time to talk about the draft, to talk about quarterbacks, everybody says, oh, this guy's can't miss. This guy's a sure thing. And a lot of times they do miss. But I hear more and more people talk about Caleb Williams, how he is just the perfect quarterback with no holes in his game and maybe the best lock quarterback pick in 30 years. They said this is the next Peyton Manning. That's what everybody says. So, that's a lot of hyperbole. It's a lot of pressure, but this guy's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy this year. Certainly going to be in the running throughout. And of course, his weapons, Jordan Addison is gone. He's with the Vikings now, but 4 of their top wide receivers return. So he does have some familiar targets coming back to the old Coliseum there in Southern Cal. As far as running backs go, Austin Jones and South Carolina transfer Marshawn Lloyd, nice 1-2 punch at running back. The offensive line is brand new. Again, you know what I just said a few minutes ago about plugging and chugging new players. They got a lot of talent. How quickly can they gel and protect this quarterback? And Caleb Williams, you got Jared Kingston. He's a guard coming from Washington State. Emmanuel Pregnon is coming from Wyoming. He is also a guard. And Michael Tarquin is their left tackle coming over from the Florida Gators. So we'll see how long they take to gel. Meanwhile, the defense was not great last year. They gave up a lot of yards throughout the season. Remember the Tulane game? Yeah, remember that one last year? But they were 5th in the country in takeaways. They caused a lot of turnovers, and that helped them out. But they do need to get better on defense, and they also hit the transfer portal there. Kyon Barrs coming from Arizona, Jack Sullivan from Purdue, and Bear Alexander coming in from the Georgia Bulldog football team. Their linebackers, Shane Lee and Eric Gentry, combined for 149 tackles last year, so they're coming back. Some familiar there in the middle of the defense. And their safeties, Bryson Shaw and Kalen Bullock, might be the best safety combination in the entire Pac-12. So that's a quick look at both of these football teams as they are this year. And I want to do that to kind of set up, because I want to transition into this year and this season, and then what they're going to have coming next year when they start playing in the Big Ten. So that's what we're going to do here for the remainder of our time together before we close it out with our power rankings at the end with quarterbacks in the Big Ten. That's always good for controversy too. A lot of, what do you mean so-and-so is number 1? What do you mean so-and-so is number 4? That's why you can always hit me up at Talk Big Ten on Twitter, or leave some comments on the bottom of the YouTube here, bottom of the video. So now that we've done that, that's what we're going to do. Plus, I'll have some predictions as to how I think UCLA and USC will do once they are in the Big Ten. All that coming up on Locked On Big Ten. These days, every new potential hire in a business can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Now, I'm going to tell you, LinkedIn is great. It's probably the first social media thing I ever signed up for back in the day. I've been with them for years personally. And I've been in positions where I've had to hire people too. And it's very nerve-wracking. It's more of a problem if you hire the wrong person. And so you're kind of scared when you got to go out there and hire somebody and bring them into your company. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people right away. And then add some good people to your business, and it makes you look good as a manager. All you have to do is really easy. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and possibly hire. It's very easy to do. It's not intimidating at all. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So if you're in this boat, here's what you got to do. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's get into this a little bit here with the schedules for UCLA. I'm looking at their schedule this upcoming season, and it's kind of unremarkable, to be honest with you. Two of their first three games are against Coastal Carolina and North Carolina State. At least they're given a historically black college chance to play in a great environment. Then they embark on their regular Pac-12 schedule. As far as USC, a little more interesting. They've got easy openers against San Jose State and Nevada. And that could help pad Caleb Williams' early season stats. It gets the momentum going for that Heisman march. They open up the Pac-12 portion of the schedule at home against Stanford in week 3. And September 30th, they have a game at Colorado versus Coach Prime. So you're going to have a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback in USC with national championship aspirations going into Colorado, taking on Deion Sanders' brand new team out of Colorado. It'll be nuts. USC will have way more talent than Coach Prime will have for Colorado, but nonetheless, it'll be a big deal in the media. Mid-October, they travel to South Bend, take on Notre Dame, and of course, that series is going to be a casualty of them joining the Big Ten, one of their greatest rivals, and they host UCLA to close out the season and close out their portion of the Pac-12 schedule, and that'll be it forever. And then UCLA will have one more game after the USC game. They'll take on Cal. So that's all fine and dandy, and it's very interesting. But it's 2024 that I'm really interested in. And, of course, as you know, the Big Ten will incorporate UCLA and USC into its Flex Protect Plus model with no division format. I know that's old news. I've only been hosting this channel for about 3 weeks or so. So I just want to kind of be on the record on a couple of things that have probably been discussed, things you've talked about and thought about and read about in the past as well. But UCLA in 2024, when they come into the Big Ten, they have home games against Minnesota, Nebraska, and Northwestern. They got Ohio State and USC, all those at the Rose Bowl. And that's neat. I mean, teams like, Minnesota or Northwestern, especially that haven't been good enough to make it to a Rose Bowl lately. This is going to be kind of cool. Everybody, every few years, is going to be able to go and play at the historic Rose Bowl. So I think that's great. And then UCLA will have some road games at Bloomington. They'll take on the Hoosiers, Iowa, and Rutgers. And then they get to play at the Big House, UCLA at Michigan in 2024. USC, their schedule, interesting as well. Their home dates against at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, Illinois, Iowa. Michigan goes out there to play them. So does Wisconsin. Meanwhile, Southern Cal's away games in 2024, when they joined the Big Ten, at Maryland, Northwestern, at Penn State. I'll be interested to see if that's a whiteout game at Penn State. That would be really interesting. At Purdue, and then at UCLA. One thing I'm thinking about right away, and I'm sure you have too, the mileage and the travel that these two schools are going to have to do, just going back and forth across the country. And look, maybe that's a disadvantage to them and an advantage to the other Big Ten schools. Maybe that helps an upset here or there. Maybe traveling all the way to Maryland is going to be a big deal. Going to wear out the team a little bit. I don't know. I mean, it's just a possibility, something to think about. But listen, the main thing here is that, the Big Ten and the Big Ten Network, they now have access to the Los Angeles market. This is all about money. That's all that it really matters with this deal. And it's both ways. It's symbiotic too, because listen, UCLA and USC, they had no choice. They're sitting in a Pac-12 that is dying. Do you know right now, as we speak today, the Pac-12 still does not have a major network TV deal for 2024. None. Meanwhile, the Big Ten, they got the Big Ten Network, they got CBS, they got NBC. They're all over the place. Networks are fighting for the Big Ten. Millions of dollars going everywhere. And they're paying all their schools and their institutions millions of dollars just based on the TV deals. And, of course, the Big Ten Network is a cash cow. So all that money in Southern Cal and UCLA, they're like, oh, well, we can't stay here, but look at all the money over here. Let's go. So even though geographically it was kind of weird, historically and traditionally it's kind of weird, They had to do it. They absolutely had to do it. So they're jumping ship, and they'll be here next year. This time next year, we'll be talking about and previewing them in the Big Ten. So the question is, and why not? Let's do it now. How will they do in the Big Ten? And of course, obviously, the teams will be a little different. Caleb Williams will be in the NFL. He's not going to be at Southern Cal anymore, but just for one example. But I'm kind of curious if you think, and hit me up on Twitter at Talk Big Ten and comments down below. Do you think UCLA and USC will come in and just be another, like a West Coast version of Michigan and Ohio State instead of, two big powerhouses up there in Penn State? Will there be a West Coast component? Will UCLA and USC be able to hang with those big time schools? And maybe they will. I have some theories. I'll let you know what I think here in just a minute. But, Ohio State next year, they're going to have Michigan and Penn State on their schedule like normal, but they're also going to have UCLA. Michigan will have Ohio State on their schedule as usual. They're also going to have Southern Cal and UCLA. The schedules are going to be way tougher for everybody, but particularly tough for UCLA and USC because I don't have as much respect for the Pac-12 schedule as I do for the Big Ten schedule from top to bottom. Sure, each conference has its weaker schools at the bottom, but listen, I think just every week it's going to be a gauntlet now of big boy football. So, and how's that going to work out in the long run? Is this going to be a game of attrition? Are teams going to accumulate losses even though they're pretty good? Keep in mind, after a couple more years now, it's not going to matter as much. You're going to be allowed to have a mulligan. We're going to have a 12-team playoff instead of a 4-team playoff. That does mean, for better or for worse, that a team, if you have 2 losses, you're not out of it. You're still in it. You're still in it to play in your Big Ten championship and maybe get in. And even if you don't get into the Big Ten championship now, maybe the Michigan-Ohio State game isn't win or bust, and you don't get into the Big Ten championship. You could still get into the playoff if you're highly ranked and be one of the 12 teams. So there's a little bit of cushion there if you're going to be taking on this tough schedule and maybe accumulating an extra loss or 2 more than you're used to. So my gut feeling as I look ahead to the season, how will these teams do? I think Southern Cal will probably compete right away at the level of Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. I think they'll be right there. UCLA, and this is not being disrespectful to UCLA at all. They're very good. But I think they'll be in the next tier, taking on the Wisconsins and the Iowas and that portion of the Big Ten. That's how I think things will absolutely shake out. I think Michigan and Ohio State still continue to battle up at the top, and Southern Cal right there with them. I think that's how it's going to play out. Look, I could be right, I could be wrong. Tweet at me at Talk Big Ten. Hit me on the comments at the bottom of YouTube. Would love to hear from you. But that's my quick, early 1 year out thumbnail look at the expanded Big Ten. You can always talk expansion, right? It's always very interesting. So I appreciate you going through that with me, and I appreciate you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day. Every day is our next show. We'll take an early look at Big Ten rookies in the NFL, and maybe find out who might be Rookie of the Year as they get ready to head into training camp and start their NFL careers. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten. And by the way, if you've already subscribed, thank you very much for that. Hit that arrow share button. Share us with a friend that you think would be interested in this podcast. Somebody who's interested, maybe an alum, a friend, a family member that just loves the Big Ten. Put them in contact with us. I'd love to have them on board as well. So again, share, like, and like and follow and subscribe, all that stuff. Coming up, our weekly feature, our Big Ten power rankings. And as you know, once the season starts, I'm just going to rank this on this day. Middle of the week, we'll rank all the teams as I see it through the standings and strength of schedule. But since we don't have games yet, we will take a look at Big Ten quarterbacks. Just going to put them out there 1 through 10. Let the arguing begin. All that coming up on Locked On Big Ten. Time now for our weekly segment, Power rankings in the Big Ten. We're going to take a look at quarterbacks and rank them. I'm going to put them on the screen. Again, if you're listening on audio only, I'll describe what everybody else is looking at on the video. And once I put them all up, all the bickering, complaining, and all the talking will begin. Here goes. All right. At the top, going into the season, I have at number 1, Maryland quarterback, Talia Tagovailoa. Last year, 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, but the year before threw 26 touchdowns. I think he is ready and poised for a big, big year. Maybe this is surprising to you. Maybe it's not. I've seen some other lists that have him ranked this highly as well. But number 2, I got Penn State quarterback Drew Aller. Drew Aller was the number 1 ranked quarterback in high school in the country, and before he went to Penn State. Sean Clifford is gone, and now it's his chance. It's his turn, and he's got a really high-powered team that he's now in charge of. At number 3, I have Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord. He, too, is now getting his chance. And with receivers like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka to throw to, who might be number 1 and number 2 best wide receiver in the Big Ten, even I could probably complete a pass or 2 to those guys. That is going to really make him look good. Kyle McCord is poised to have a big year for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I rank him as the number 3 quarterback in the league going into the season. At number 4, J.J. McCarthy, Michigan, 3rd team All Big Ten. And he's got a little help with the running game. That's still, I don't know if that's still a quarterback's best friend, a running game. It used to be back in the day. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards there, both of them capable of rushing for 1,000 yards each this season. At number 5, Wisconsin, Tanner Mordecai. If nothing else, I just like saying the name Tanner Mordecai. He backed up Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts both at Oklahoma before he moved on. So this guy's chomping at the bit to show what he can do. Those are 2 pretty good quarterbacks that he was playing behind, and that's why he didn't get a chance to really play at Oklahoma. At number 6, Iowa, quarterback Cade McNamara. Cade has done it before. This is the former Michigan quarterback. So he already has won a Big Ten championship, and he has already gotten his team into the college football playoff. He's played in big pressure games before and was doing just fine, except his only problem was he had J.J. McCarthy push him out of the way as the starting quarterback at Michigan. He's now at Iowa. They got themselves a pretty good one there. Purdue quarterback Hudson Card at number 7, coming in, transferring from Texas. Don't know a whole lot of, haven't seen a lot of him. He was backing up Quinn Ewers. Of course, now Arch Manning is there, and there was no way he was ever going to see the field at Texas, so he transfers to Purdue. I have him in our power rankings at 7. Michigan State quarterback Noah Kim, number 8. Peyton Thorne is gone. He went to Auburn, so now it's his chance. Look, he was a big deal in high school in Virginia. Was injured his junior year, and therefore people kind of cooled off on recruiting him a little bit. So he ends up at Michigan State. We'll see what he can do. It's his turn. He's motivated. At number 9, Nebraska quarterback Jeff Sims, transfer from Georgia Tech. This guy's a dual threat. He can run. He can throw. It's all right there. And rounding out our top 10 Big Ten quarterback power rankings going into the season, Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier, transfer from Ole Miss, backed up Matt Corral and Jackson Dart, and he too. A lot of these guys are finally getting their chance to play elsewhere, and they're ready to go, and they're very motivated. And that's how we see it. That's how I rank them going into the season. Again, feel free to comment, disagree, agree. Love to hear your thoughts on all of that. It's hard to believe our time is just about up again. I really appreciate everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day. Everydayers, our next show, we'll take a look at Big Ten rookies in the NFL, getting ready to start their careers and what we expect out of each and every one of them. Again, feel free to always interact with me on Twitter at Talk Big Ten, or at the bottom here when you maybe leave your comments after subscribing on the bottom at YouTube. Would love to hear from you there. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every morning. Now I invite you to check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast for the latest on everything going on in sports. I want you to have a great day. Thank you again for checking this program out, this podcast out. Can't wait for tomorrow. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman.